You plotted to deceive her right under her nose, banking on her silence to hide your greed. That's not business, that's betrayal.
This is entrapment. You can't prove a thing.
You know, I still get chills thinking about that night up in the clouds at the summit. This ritzy rooftop spot in New York City where the skyline stretches out like a glittering promise. But inside, man, it was a whole different story, tense, ugly, and loaded with all the unspoken crap that bubbles up when egos clash over billions. Picture this, a sleek private dining room, crystal chandeliers dripping light like honey, the kind of place where deals get sealed with handshakes and whispers. But on this particular evening, it turned into a battlefield nobody saw coming. At the center of it all was Sayuri Tanaka, this powerhouse from Tokyo who'd bootstrapped her way to the top with Nishida Tech, revolutionizing medical AI that could literally save lives in operating rooms, and across from her, these two slick operators from Apex Genomics, Ryan Whitaker and Kyle Harlan, thinking they could swallow her company whole for a cool $1 billion without her even noticing the knife in her back. It started innocently enough, or at least that's how they played it. Ryan, the CEO with his polished grin and that expensive haircut that screamed, "I'm in charge," raising his glass for a toast, saying something like, "To breakthroughs that bridge oceans and partnerships that redefine the future," all smooth and rehearsed, like he was auditioning for a TED Talk. But Sayuri, she just nodded, sipped her sake quietly, her silver-streaked hair pulled back in this elegant bun, her dark silk dress flowing like midnight water. She wasn't saying much, speaking only in Japanese through her aide, this stoic guy named Hiroshi, who translated her words into these short, neutral bites. And right away, I could feel the air thicken, because Ryan and Kyle, they weren't buying her silence as strategy. No, to them, it was weakness, a cultural quirk they could exploit. You see, these guys had built their empire on aggressive takeovers, stepping on whoever got in the way, and Sayuri's rise? It burned them up inside, a woman from across the Pacific out-innovating them in a field they'd dominated for years. So they came in with this hidden agenda, not just to buy her out, but to dismantle her legacy, strip her patents, and sideline her forever, all because they couldn't stand the idea of sharing the spotlight with someone who didn't look or sound like them. Meanwhile, weaving through the shadows of the room was Aisha Thompson, this young black waitress with a grace that came from years of ballet classes. She squeezed in between shifts, lean, sharp-eyed, her uniform crisp, but her presence invisible to these power players. Just another pair of hands refilling glasses and clearing plates. But Aisha, she wasn't just serving. She was absorbing everything, every smirk, every sidelong glance, because she'd grown up splitting time between Harlem and Osaka. Her mom was a trade attaché, dragging her along on postings. So Aisha picked up Japanese like it was her second skin, folding origami with local kids, slurping ramen in hidden alleys, learning the nuances of respect in every bow and phrase. Back in the States, though, that fluency became a secret weapon she rarely flashed, especially in jobs like this where being exotic got you side-eyed, or worse, she'd faced enough doors slammed in her face. Interviews where they praised her resume, but never called back, all because she didn't fit their mold of success. That night, as she poured Ryan's scotch neat, no ice, just like he barked without looking up, she felt that familiar sting, the way these men treated service like entitlement, snapping fingers, tossing out honey like it was nothing. But what really got under her skin was how they dismissed Sayuri, whispering loud enough to cut, like, "Does she even get what we're offering? Or is this just a tea ceremony gone wrong?" The tension built slow at first, like a storm gathering over the Hudson. Ryan launching into his pitch, arms waving as he painted this vision of global dominance, merging Nishida's neural interfaces with Apex's distribution muscle, numbers flying like confetti, a $1 billion buyout that sounded generous on paper but hid clauses sharper than a scalpel. Sayuri listened, her face a mask of calm, responding in soft Japanese bursts that Hiroshi turned into polite nothings, and Kyle, the CFO with his flashy Rolex and that perpetual scowl, he couldn't hide his impatience, muttering to Ryan, "This is ridiculous, we're talking to a wall here, might as well negotiate with a robot." And Ryan chuckled, low and mean, "Hey, that's her specialty, right? Silent and programmable." Aisha, clearing the appetizers, these fancy foie gras bites that probably cost more than her rent, caught every word, her stomach twisting because she saw herself in Sayuri's poise, that armor you build when the world keeps trying to shrink you down. Kyle snapped his fingers again. "Hey, sweetie, more Cabernet and make it quick. We're not here for the ambience." His tone dripping with that fake charm that masked pure condescension, and Aisha poured, steady as ever, but inside, she was boiling, remembering her own battles, like that time in college when a professor doubted her essay on cross-cultural ethics just because she didn't seem the type to know about Eastern philosophies. As the main course hit the table, seared wagyu that melted like butter, paired with truffle risotto, the jabs got bolder, Kyle leaning in with exaggerated slowness, enunciating like Sayuri was a child. "We want to acquire your firm. Do you comprehend that?" Ryan snorted, adding, "Maybe we need pictures or something. Turn this into a comic book deal." Their laughter echoing off the mahogany walls, but what pushed it over the edge was Kyle's aside, not even trying to whisper anymore. "She's like one of those Zen gardens, pretty to look at, but zero substance, probably ancient under all that mystery." Aisha froze by the sideboard, her tray trembling just a bit, because she'd heard Sayuri murmur something in Japanese earlier, not to Hiroshi, but to the air, a quiet plea that sliced right through her. Is there no one in this room who truly sees beyond the surface? It hit Aisha like a wave, that isolation, that erasure. She'd felt it in boardrooms where her ideas got credited to others, in neighborhoods where folks assumed she was just help. And suddenly, the rules of her job, the stay silent, stay invisible mantra from her manager, felt like chains she couldn't bear anymore. That's when it snapped, the turning point, the spark that flipped the whole damn script. Aisha set down her tray, stepped forward with this quiet determination, her heart pounding like a drum in her chest, and she approached Sayuri's side, bowing deep, not the quick service nod, but a full, respectful dip that spoke volumes, the kind she'd learned from her host family in Osaka years ago. Rising, she locked eyes with Sayuri and spoke in flawless Japanese, her voice steady but laced with empathy. Tanaka-sama, I'm so sorry for what's unfolding here. I know I'm overstepping, but watching this disrespect, it feels like betraying my own principles to stay quiet. If you'll let me, I can translate. Make sure your voice cuts through the noise. The room went dead silent. Ryan's fork clattered against his plate. Kyle's mouth hung open like a fish on a hook. Hiroshi blinked in surprise. And Sayuri, her eyes widening not in shock, but in this profound relief, like finding an ally in a sea of strangers, she touched Aisha's arm lightly and whispered back, "Thank you for seeing me," when they refused. From there, it was like a dam breaking. Sayuri nodded for Aisha to take over, and she did, turning to the table with a poise that belied her apron, announcing, "Ms. Tanaka has asked me to handle translations from here on out. She wants you to grasp every nuance." Kyle recovered first, scoffing nervously. "Fine, whatever, let's get to the contract," sliding over this thick leather binder like it was gospel. Aisha opened it, her eyes scanning the legalese. She'd helped her mom with diplomatic docs back in the day, spotting the traps, and she zeroed in, voice calm but cutting. "This section here, 8C, it hands Apex full control to relicense her core AI tech, without veto rights. That's not partnership, that's theft, selling off what she built from scratch." Ryan blustered, "Standard boilerplate protects both sides." But Aisha didn't back down, flipping pages. "And this non-compete? It's a gag order for 15 years, barring her from even advising startups. You're not buying her company, you're burying her career." The color drained from their faces, Kyle muttering, "This is out of line." But Aisha held firm, her inner fire blazing now, because this wasn't just about Sayuri, it was about every time she'd been overlooked, every dream deferred. Then came the hammer. Sayuri signaled Hiroshi, who pulled out this slim recorder, hitting play. And out poured Ryan's voice from earlier whispers. "Screw the bonuses, we'll gut her team post-deal. Feed her scraps. She won't catch on with that language barrier." Kyle's laugh followed. "Exactly. Play the long game, erase her footprint, claim the glory." The audio hung there like smoke, damning and undeniable, and Aisha translated the guts of it, her tone laced with quiet fury. "You plotted to deceive her right under her nose, banking on her silence to hide your greed. That's not business, that's betrayal." Ryan shot up. "You can't record without consent. This is entrapment." But Aisha shot back, cool as ice. "And fraud's legal? You didn't just underestimate a leader. You picked a fight with integrity itself." Chaos erupted. Aisha's manager, this uptight guy named Marcus, burst in red-faced, yelling, "What the hell, Aisha? You're way out of bounds, fired. On the spot. Pack your stuff." Kyle smirked. "About time," but before Aisha could respond, the door swung open again, and in walked Jamal Reeves, this towering figure in a tailored suit, early 40s, exuding that quiet authority from years in venture capital, a silent partner in Nishida's U.S. push who'd been eavesdropping from the bar. "Hold up," he said, voice deep and unwavering. "She's not going anywhere. I've seen enough to know she's the only one here with real spine." Marcus stammered, Ryan went pale, and Jamal turned to Aisha. "You embodied what we need in this cutthroat world, courage over complacency." In that electric moment, Sayuri rose, crossing to Aisha, taking her hands in a warm grip, and for the first time, speaking in accented English. "You saw me truly when they chose blindness. Join us, Aisha, as my cultural strategist. Lead our expansion here. Tuition paid for your arts degree, a place in Brooklyn Heights, salary that honors your worth." Aisha's breath caught, tears pricking her eyes. This wasn't just a job. It was validation, a door blasting open after years of knocking. She nodded, whispering, "I'd be honored." And just like that, the night transformed from nightmare to triumph, Sayuri's composure cracking into a genuine smile as she turned to Ryan and Kyle. "The deal's off, and your secrets? They'll find their way out." The aftermath hit like a tsunami within days. Whispers turned to headlines. "Billion-dollar bust. Waitress exposes corporate sharks in epic takedown." The recording leaking through investor circles, Apex's stock tanking, Ryan forced into retirement, with no severance, Kyle slinking away to some consulting gig that fizzled fast, their names mud in the tech world, doors slamming where once they swung wide. Aisha stepped into her new role, not just translating cultures, but bridging worlds, her paintings now inspired by that night. Bold strokes of resilience,